Las Vegas is the place to be as Rare Evo kicks off today. What kind of big announcements are we going to get from Cardano, from ICP, from potentially Algorand? We have two very special in-studio guests joining us today. We're going to talk about Bitcoin, institutions. Another big company overseas is buying MicroStrategy. Are institutions a net negative or net positive for the crypto space? We're going to talk about the WBTC drama going on with Justin Sun. We also have some news about a new AI play coming from Binance Labs. You can take a look at the markets and why PayPal and their stablecoin is potentially key to mass adoption of cryptocurrency and blockchain. We're going to talk about that and much, much more in today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's go.
Your boy Big Rob back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel where we take old, boring, and stale information and repackage that thing up in a fun and sexy way.
You know what I just noticed? That dice behind you is that 7? That is 7.
I mean, it depends on which
7-11.
Which angle you're looking at. You know, I am known for throwing 77 sevens in a row here at the local craps table.
Literally no one.
At the El Cortez in downtown Las Vegas.
Isn't that close? We have two very special guests joining us. So we have Austin from Altcoin Daily gracing us with his presence. You know, Las Vegas is the place to be, not only now, but next year for the Bitcoin conference. We also have Kyle from the Definity Foundation joining us as well. Kyle and I did a one-on-one sit-down conversation. So if you're a fan of ICP, that video is going to be coming out in the next 2 hours or so. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Gentlemen, welcome to the studio. This is both your first times here. We'd like to welcome you officially. How has Vegas and the Heat been treating you so far?
Rob, Dave, thank you for having me. I just had to pay my respects to the dons of Vegas crypto YouTube.
You're a good man.
You guys have a great studio, and Vegas is awesome.
You like the Heat?
You know what?
You can say no.
I'm from Los Angeles, so we have heat, but you guys really have heat.
We got the heat. And Kyle, thank you so much again, man. We look forward to hearing both of you speak at the Rare Evo conference. I kind of want to jump right into what we're going to talk about today. And the first thing I want to talk about is this. You know, there's a lot of chatter and talk amongst the crypto community, right? People that have been in the space, whether it's 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. This time is different. We always joke and say, this time is different. But is this time really different? This is from Cointelegraph. Bitcoin has room to fall amid unusual open interest from CoinGlass. A couple things I've highlighted here, and we'll go to our guests and Rob to get their thoughts. So in an August 16th X post, CoinGlass noted that it was a bit unusual that open interest has not reacted to the Bitcoin prices. Quoting, I think there is room to fall. The platform reported that the total open interest on Bitcoin futures reached $29 billion on August 16th and has been rising all week, while spot Bitcoin prices have declined 5% in the 2 days prior. Open interest refers to the total number of Bitcoin futures contracts that have yet to be settled or expire. This is a quote from CoinGlass. An increase in open interest means that both long and short positions are increasing, and looking at previous price action, we can assume that a lot of those are short positions. Rising open interest means more leverages in the market, which can amplify movements in either direction. And also talked about funding rates were negative. Negative funding rates in crypto derivatives markets occur when the price of the contract is trading below the spot price of the underlying asset. And I do want to share this post here from Ariellen Ohayan. This kind of shows, going all the way back to 2011, right? The four phases that this chart breaks down. One is the bear phase in the red, pre-bull, first bull, and the second bull. Again, gentlemen, there's constant talk about why is this time feel so different? Why are we not seeing a pump? Why do we see an all-time high prior to the halving? As you can see here from the chart, looks like we're kind of on par, which is what this post alludes to. I'll ask you first, Austin. Is this time different? Like, what do you take from what we've seen with the price action, having a new all-time high before the halving occurred, and the whole, open interest and institutions and the money pouring in? People assume $20 billion has flowed into BlackRock, Fidelity, the ETFs. Why are we under $60,000? What's your kind of gauge on where the market is? And I'll start with you, Austin.
I think the bigger open interest gets in both directions, I think that just shows the uncertainty by the market participants. People are in this sort of like, stall phase or wait and see phase until the next Fed meeting, until the presidential election. People aren't sure in the short term what to do. To me, is this time different? I choose to believe this time's not different. I'm a big believer in the 4-year cycle. Due to the Bitcoin halving, I think the reason we pumped early is because we had that institutional FOMO that we've never seen in crypto before, combined with the Bitcoin halving. And so that explains a couple months ago where we are today with Bitcoin. And I'd love Kyle's take on this too. I think Bitcoin today at around 58, 62, whatever it is, $60,000 Bitcoin compared to Bitcoin at $60,000 3-4 years ago in 2021. Back then, we were a little overvalued. It was a little hypey. Things have fundamentally changed in those 3 years, yet price is exactly the same. For example, Bitcoin's now regulated. It's being offered by Charles Schwab, Fidelity, BlackRock. The bad actors are out of the space. The biggest 2 exchanges by trading volume, Binance taken over by the US government, FTX collapsed. Now the majority of trading volume flows through US exchanges. Over 50% of the mining flows through US exchanges. And the biggest thing, we have since, again, compared to when last time Bitcoin was at these levels 3-4 years ago, been through a second halving. We've had that second wave of supply restriction, yet price hasn't seen that impact yet. So I choose to believe this time is not. It is exactly the same, and it's always been that 4th year in the 4-year cycle.
That's interesting. Kyle, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I love what Austin said there. It's funny to think that 60,000 is depressing today, where 4 months ago we were cheering on 60,000. What I took from those charts is 2 things. First of all, the fact that price dropped 5% and there was no change in open interest means that people are being a lot more smart on their leverage, right? Nobody wants to be liquidated at this stage of the bull market. Number 2, the fact that open interest is still growing means people are trying to position themselves. I mean, you showed those 4-year halving cycles.
Yeah.
People want to make sure they're positioned correctly for it.
Right. Rob?
Yeah, I'm just curious if we're on par for the halving and the cycle's playing out, in a similar manner that we've seen in cycles past, are we going to get the same bear market? We're going to get that same 60, 70, 80% pullback. I mean, I would assume so until proven wrong. But maybe the slower start, if the bull market did kick off earlier, maybe the slower start to this like parabolic run, it signifies more of a lower top, a smaller drawdown on the backside. Maybe 2026, we're still over 6-figure Bitcoin, and maybe we have a subdued bear market. Maybe we get up to that 180,000, that $200,000 Bitcoin, and instead of dropping all the way down to 80,000 or 90 or whatever the price may be, maybe it's just we gradually pull back to that 120, and more of the ebbs and flows of the market are less volatile. I think that is something that institutions and Wall Street brings in, especially when you talk about pension funds, that Wisconsin's coming in, buying, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. Other companies and pension funds, retirement accounts, long-term investment vehicles I would assume are going to be doing the same thing. And if that's the case, then I would expect less volatility in Bitcoin in the long term. And so maybe this 6 months of consolidation for Bitcoin, or 4 to 6 months consolidation where we've roughly been around 60,000, maybe that's a sign of what's to come. Maybe when we get up to that 80, 90,000, we consolidate there for another 3, 4, 5 months.
But is that a negative thing? And let me tell you why I say that. You have the likes of Michael Saylor who have said volatility for Bitcoin is a feature, not a bug, right? Yeah. And so if you can get similar gains from something safer that people see as safer, although we in the space know that Bitcoin, when you talk about digital assets, is the safest one you can get, right? Nothing's 100% risk-free, but at the end of the day, nothing fundamentally changes. There's really nothing you need to be worried about. So my thing is, over the last 2 weeks, we've seen Bitcoin decouple from the stock market. And we always talk about Bitcoin and crypto being risk-on assets. So my question is, everyone talks about recession and, here, I'll just show this right now. You have stats like this where the retail investor is truly struggling, right? You have U.S. bankruptcy filings, the highest since 2017. Credit card delinquency is at the highest. Our national debt keeps growing. So with the decoupling we've seen from crypto or Bitcoin and the stock market, with Rob mentioning, hey, volatility might tamper down, is that a net positive or a net negative for an asset like Bitcoin and maybe crypto as a whole?
Also, don't forget to throw in nation state adoption. You know what that'll throw in for volatility. Because if we do get those big price swings, I think it comes off of the back of arms race between nations. I mean, we see that the political rhetoric for crypto and campaigning is that, hey, the U.S. is going to have a strategic reserve. We're going to buy, hold. We're not going to sell what we have. We're going to accumulate more. And we know that if the U.S. does that, I mean, other countries that have already followed economic policies for the U.S. are probably going to follow suit in the crypto policies as well. So is the EU going to have the same policy, or at least some of the countries from the EU? I think so. And what does that mean for Bitcoin? I mean, there's only so much Bitcoin to go around. You're mining, 450 Bitcoin a day, and you got nation states coming in and picking them up by the billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. Then you get that volatility. And so, I mean, is that around the corner?
What are you guys' thoughts, Kyle?
I mean, long term, it's what do you want out of Bitcoin, right? If you want mass adoption,
I want 100x.
100. Well, but yeah, I mean, so volatility cuts both ways on the way down, but also on the way up. You don't have an asset that does a 100x, every couple of years without volatility. But then again, the asset is kind of turning over into a different investor class, right? So you have Wall Street, who is going to be less likely to dump on the first concern. You have nation states who are probably going to hodl better than probably most of us here in this room, right? Because I don't know, they've got their own little agenda.
They got a lot of money.
Yeah, a lot of money. So I mean, this is what the natural course of Bitcoin must go through. So yeah, I think probably becomes a little bit more boring in the future. Maybe 10 years down the line, we're not seeing these massive swings.
You think it trades closer to the way gold trades eventually?
Yeah. I mean, at a multiple of gold, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Austin, what are your thoughts?
I think that with this BlackRock and institutional adoption, it is inevitable that Bitcoin lessens in volatility. I think over the next 5-7 years, we'll see, the S&P every year has at least a 7% increase on average. Right. I think we'll see maybe Bitcoin settle on maybe a 20% on average year to year. Not that there won't be bear markets. Now, we have a lot of volatility up until then, but just because BlackRock, these advisors are trained, this part of my portfolio is up 20%. This is only up 3%. Let's sell this off, rebalance. That's going to happen. But to me, volatility does not scare me. If you're a short-term trader, unless you're skilled and you know how to take profits, then you're fine. But if you're in it for the short game, then this scares you. I think most of us are in Bitcoin, once you learn enough, are in it for the long game. I'm not trying to, I would love to make money this year. But,
Me too.
But I'm in it, for the 5 years, the next 10 years.
Amen. I want to get back to even,
Yeah,
I'm down, bro.
Here's the thing, and you know what's crazy is, when everyone else talks about like the timing the top and the bottoms of the markets, and Kathy Wood says it's not about timing the market, it's about timing the market, right? Which is so true. And we showed a graphic. Even if you bought Bitcoin at the absolute top in 2017 and you held for 4 years, you'd be up, right? And so I think that's what people lose a lot of track of. And I think you bring up a really good point, Austin, as you brought up rebalancing of portfolios. That kind of maybe doesn't help in big bull markets, because once your allocation goes over, let's say 5%, you got to bring it down. But on the flip side, if Bitcoin's price starts tanking and that drops from a 5% allocation to now a 2% allocation, guess what? They're going to go ahead and buy that 3% allocation. That is assuming they're at 5 and they don't decide to scale up. So it's pretty interesting. I want to talk about this as well. South Korean pension fund reports buying $34 million in MicroStrategy shares. This is a trend over the last week or so. We had 2 central banks also announcing that they have had their exposure to Bitcoin by proxy is through MicroStrategy, because of the fact that Michael Saylor has laid out like masterfully is they're able to leverage their debt, unsecured debt, right, from a asset that you can print more of, the dollar, to a hard cap commodity, which is Bitcoin. And again, that debt is unsecured, meaning that if you're a holder of MicroStrategy and something, God forbid, goes wrong, you come before that debt, right? You as a shareholder, you will get paid out before the debt does. And so that's one benefit.
You saw his keynote speech at Bitcoin Nashville. I mean, his like big thing was he was talking about triple maxi for triple Bitcoin maxi for nation state adoption, right?
Triple Bitcoin maxi.
Yeah.
The crowd loved it.
Yeah.
Shocker.
David wasn't there, but I'll tell you, it was electric. Yeah, so triple Bitcoin maxi is what he was saying, because he was laying out the bull case scenario. You got being a Bitcoin maxi, double maxi, and then triple. He's going to talk about just as an individual retail investor. But then
tiered
he
memberships.
tiered memberships, and the tier 3 was like leveraging debt, selling the house, or selling
a kidney.
Yeah, selling public land. Or I don't know what a nation would sell, but either way.
It kind of makes sense, because when you think about what am I storing my value in? Am I storing my value in something that the government can just print more of and devalue what I'm currently saving, or do I store it in something?
Or if you're a nation and you're relying on the dollar and the fiscal policies that the U.S. has, especially what we're seeing with printing, how does a nation circumvent it, right? I mean,
we already see Russia; they're approving crypto.
Yeah,
trading,
exactly.
right,
So from the financial perspective of a country, like there's very little outs to decouple from the dollar, right? And so if you have any kind of headbutting going on with the U.S. dollar, I mean, you either go to another fiat basket, like
No, you're not going outside
the bricks.
the dollar.
What I'm saying is that, like, what are the options? There's not very many, and so the Bitcoin is something that is purchasable by a nation at this point, and it's still very young and very volatile for a nation to purchase. But I do think that 5-10 years from now, it's going to be a hedge against the dollar for a country. So
Interesting.
One of the amazing things about that article, though, that I think it's kind of gotten lost in the conversation is 4 years ago, MicroStrategy was like nobody. I mean, they had an analytic software, right? And maybe their headquarters is actually just like 50 minutes from where I drive. From where I live.
Really?
So I drive by their headquarters every now and then, and it's like I never had heard their name before. I'd seen the sign on their building, but now you think like maybe 4 years ago, a few people in South Korea probably had heard of MicroStrategies, and now the government is purchasing,
crazy?
is moving in, and all because of one decision by Michael Saylor.
That
right?
is so crazy. Yeah. When you put it that way, when you think about it, you're like, wow. And I showed this on the live show 2 days ago. For 20 years, 2 decades, MicroStrategy stock was dead in the water. All of a sudden, Bitcoin strategy, and the thing just explodes.
It's shocking that other public companies haven't tried to one up him. Right, some people have followed in their footstep, but
how do you one up Michael Saylor?
It's so common to like have a copycat strategy, especially from a successful business.
we see
all
it
the time, especially in investing. It's
companies like Semler Scientific, right? They call it the Japanese MicroStrategy, but on a much smaller scale. But I'm like Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia. I mean, here's the thing: like when you're a publicly traded company, you answer to your shareholders.
Yeah.
And if I'm a shareholder, I'm looking over there next door and I'm like, you guys made how much? Especially if you're paying dividends, how much? And you're just like, hey guys, maybe it's a good time to maybe a little bit of Bitcoin or something, especially if you can get unsecured debt. I think it just completely makes sense. Let me ask you guys, do you think it's a MicroStrategy as they continue to buy becomes a systemic risk to the Bitcoin network? And let me explain to you why. Michael Saylor is not going to live forever, right? God forbid something happens or he gets ousted as chairman of the board, whatever the case may be. And the next person or the next decision maker is not a big Bitcoin bull, and they decide to. Do you guys see that as systemic risk? If one company or one institution, their wallet gets too big, what are you guys' thoughts on that?
I think that obviously we're all in Bitcoin for the decentralized, distributed nature of it. But if you want mass adoption, something like this is inevitable. Now, retail had a 13-year head start before the corporations, before the governments. Now BlackRock is buying our bags. We're in crypto the first 13 years. And they say the more you understand Bitcoin, the more you own. And truly, Michael Saylor, one of the smartest minds in tech, even before crypto, he was a tech guy, understands Bitcoin like no other, and he's literally putting his money where his mouth is. In my opinion, the most ideal thing would be, if everybody around the world was able to buy equal shares of Bitcoin and they all had the same conviction and they all bought today. But, Michael, he's not risking anything. He's risking basically his corporate life. Right. So he's, I think we'll see more of people like Michael, maybe not to that degree, but I think he's just the start.
What are your thoughts? Do you agree?
I mean, it's a free market. And there's winners, there's losers. Michael Saylor's made himself a winner. 10 years from now, we'll see how it all plays out. But There is, in terms of systemic risk, with the way the security budget works on Bitcoin, the hodler doesn't really have much say in that. In the sense, it's only when they decide to like enter into the mempool and what the fees that they want to pay within the mempool that they have any contribution. So as long as MicroStrategy is not selling, they're really not part of the structure now. So,
And I will say this. I think Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy are writing the playbook today, and we're
Yes.
seeing other corporations
Amen.
follow
There
that
you go.
playbook. There will come a time, maybe in 5 years, 10 years, maybe in a couple years, that governments and central banks will soon figure out whoever prints the most money the quickest to buy a much more stable and finite asset like Bitcoin wins. They'll understand that they've been left behind by the traditional system, and that is one of their only ways out. I think we'll see something
And
like that.
Austin, they're already doing that. I mean, look how many metric tons of gold China has bought over the last 5 years. Now, think about that. Think about the inherent risk of storing it. It's real gold. Where are we going to put it or move it, right? The transferability, everything, all the points that Michael Saylor talks about. Now you have a digital version of that, which is more scarce, right? You can go like, if the price of gold goes to $5,000, you better believe these gold mining companies are going to buy more equipment. They're going to search in places they never searched. They're going to dig deeper, and they're going to find more gold. Bitcoin, you can't do that, right?
And it's also auditable. So, a nation can say, hey, we've acquired this much gold, but I mean, how much gold do they own? How much of that paper version is redeemable?
Wasn't it JP Morgan that figured out that what was it, gold they had or something they had? It
like
was
lead on the inside.
yeah.
Or something?
Whoa.
oh yeah, that was a
Damn.
couple years
That
ago.
JP Morgan? Yeah. Like, careful with your huddle. I want to shift this conversation. Have you guys ever heard of an almanac?
Farmer's Almanac.
Okay.
Yeah,
That was on the toilets. Back
It's
when
on
we
the
were growing up.
toilet.
Before you had smartphones, that's how you entertained yourself.
Austin,
That's the ticker, or
The beer.
watch out for the
So you
almanac
guys
coin.
throwing shade.
Robin had this.
We are writing a book. And I will be the main author to this. But it's a crypto almanac, so it's a 2025 forecast for all the prices of the major crypto tokens, and I'm going to break it down month by month. And so, they call me Robstradamus for a reason. And so, why not have a physical copy of the book where it has a RF chip you can tap on there and get a digital copy, NFT, you got both physical, and you can always source it.
I have so many encyclopedias at home. I don't know how I get to them. That's crazy. But this is what it could potentially look like. Shout out to Crit Cats for posting this. I'm curious, and gentlemen, you can feel free to be honest here. Don't worry about hurting any feelings. Please hurt his feelings.
I'm gonna be way off on the price. It's supposed to be kind of gimmicky.
No,
It's
the
kind of
price isn't
fun.
even what I'm
We
worried
can
about.
look back at it and laugh, and be like, "Remember when you said?"
Will you gentlemen commit to buying a copy of the almanac if it comes up? Please feel free to say no. Say no.
this is you projecting what the price will be in 2025?
Yeah, so it'll be a forecast of crypto's prices.
Sounds like I need this book.
There,
Yeah.
see,
I need these prices.
See?
Come on, dude.
When does the book come out? Is the question
October. So that
of
way,
this year?
yeah, of this
Okay.
year. That way you got it early access for.
You know
for-
what he told me? He's like, because he went out, networking yesterday, met with the RFK, team, whatever. He's like, I got devs, man. I got people that are gonna build this up. I'm like, it's a book. You're not building a back end freaking story.
But it's gonna have the chip, the tap version, so you can download the NFT.
Can't
you
you
get
go-
the NFT as well.
Can't you go into any YouTuber's most viewed videos and see their price predictions for the upcoming year?
Yeah,
Isn't
but
that-
this is all consolidated in one nice.
That's a
little
good
book.
point. Yeah. Why go on the internet when you can buy a book?
That's so.
Yeah.
I kind of, Rob, they're mocking. I'm in for a book. I like the idea of a physical thing I can touch.
Yeah, and then you can turn the pages. You
can turn the pages.
There you
Great
go.
feature. We can turn
Yes,
the pages.
yes.
Okay.
Well, that is lost nowadays. Now you just swipe and so yeah. I mean,
I actually believe you're gonna do it.
yeah. No, I'm 100%.
You know, though, if Marty McFly got to go back in the past and had to get an almanac, it's not going to be a sports almanac. He's getting the
crypto
Bitcoin
almanac.
price.
Well, they have those. So you ever see the tops price list for baseball cards?
Yeah.
So when I was growing up, when you got your baseball cards, you want to know how much it was worth. You got this little book, and in the book it had all the.
What year was
prices.
that? Exactly.
1990.
We're in 2024, my friend. I want to. If you're gonna buy a crypto almanac, I want you to put one in the chat. I'm curious.
Will you? I'm reading the chat now. Will you name drop your beautiful moderators in the back of the book?
Yes.
You're welcome.
Special thanks too, and then mods will be in there.
Wait, only the beautiful moderators or all moderators?
So I'm all in there. They're all beautiful to me.
There you go. That's a politically correct answer. You know, there was a a lot of people have talked about, DeFi last cycle was pretty big. Now no one really talks about DeFi. The main thing is like AI, RWA, right? But this whole thing of wrapped Bitcoin and interoperability and, layer 2 solutions that are built. We got Stacks, you got Lightning Network, which is more centralized. But wrapped Bitcoin has been something that people have borrowed against, have used, have bought. And so we had this, and I'm really curious to get your expertise on this one, Kyle. So MakerDAO stops new wrapped Bitcoin-backed loans following its BitGo concerns. What were those concerns? Justin Sun were those concerns, apparently. So MakerDAO governance approved an executive vote that reduces the wrapped Bitcoin debt ceiling to 0 DAI, which is their stable coin, prohibiting any new loans secured by wrapped Bitcoin collateral. The risk parameter adjustment concerning wrapped Bitcoin came after BitGo, which is the developer and custodian, announced a partnership with BitGlobal, which is linked to Tron founder Justin Sun, to manage that wrapped Bitcoin custody, shifting custody from the U.S. to multiple jurisdictions, including Hong Kong and Singapore, under Justin Sun. We know that ICP has CK Bitcoin, right? Chain Key Bitcoin. And I'm curious with your thoughts on this one, Kyle. Do you have any insight you can give us on this? And if you're playing around with things like wrapped Bitcoin, are you inherently putting yourself and your wallet at risk?
I mean, if you're dealing with any wrapped, you're introducing new trust assumptions rather than the native token. So in this case, Bitcoin. But I think I find this story kind of funny in a way that because wrapped Bitcoin, WBTC, has always been very centralized.
Right.
And yet it's always been the market leader. It's got like 10x the amount of daily volume as the next wrapped token. But it's because they had first mover advantage and everything. But since then, we've had a lot of great solutions. Like CKBTC is a very much more decentralized version of a wrapped Bitcoin token. Stacks will have SBTC in the next few weeks, which is a phenomenal product. Even TBTC is a good product.
What's that
Coinbase.
one? Do you say TBTC?
Yeah, that's the Thorchain.
Thorchain. Oh, okay.
The Thorchain one, and then
Coinbase.
Coinbase has come into the market, although they haven't announced like how they're going to actually do custodial with it. But I'm sure they'll have a pretty good cycle. So to me, this is kind of like it's finally the market is catching up to like, hey, maybe there's better products out there. So
how is the CK different from, let's say, the CB and everything else? Is it the fact that it's more decentralized, or is there any more key features?
So in the WBTC, there's it's like a multi-sig. In this case, I think it's like 3 or 4 people, right, who have the keys to the native Bitcoin. The CKBTC, that you can basically just think of that as like the private key for the Bitcoin wallet is sharded across 40 different nodes. So you have to have 40 different actors, and these are nodes, not human beings.
Right.
So.
Right. Okay. Any thoughts on this, Rob, with the wrapped Bitcoin? As far as assets, as we get more interoperable in the world of crypto, the way some of these blockchains are doing it is they're wrapping assets. But I feel like projects like ICP, I know Near Protocol is doing account abstraction. We know Chainlink is working on some infrastructure plays. Any kind of thoughts on the inherent risk of knowing if you're going with?
I mean, you're always taking a risk using wrapped Bitcoin, and the native asset is always key. But I mean, from a loan situation, I mean, I guess it's just diverse products. I wouldn't read too far into it. I think MakerDAO is just catering to other policies.
What's their community? It was a community vote, right?
Yeah.
Austin, do you think like just anything Justin Sun, he's just created like a negative name for himself, that anything he's involved in is just automatically considered bad? Because that's the basis of this vote proposal, right? It's Justin Sun now has control over it. No way you can't borrow against it. It's a systemic risk. Do you think it's fair?
I think that Justin Sun had a lot more favor, especially in U.S. markets back in 2017, 2018, when Tron was more prevalent. Now, the Asian markets have obviously adopted stablecoin transfer on the Tron network.
100%.
They love it.
Yeah.
So in certain parts of the world, Justin Sun is still king, and he does garner a lot of respect. To me, I'd love to sit down with the guy and talk to him and really understand, because I don't know. He's a good hype man, and that's a compliment, but he's good at hitting the trends. So TBD on Justin Sun.
Fair enough. I do want to. I want to go over this, and what a good time to go over this as we have Kyle in studio. So this was posted on the Dfinity web or Dfinity X page. Major milestone unlocked. Tap protocol leverages chain fusion tech to launch Bitcoin native smart contracts and DeFi tools directly on the Bitcoin layer 1. Kyle, do you, a lot of people in the crypto community, a lot of the smarter ones, right? The analysts are like, don't sleep on Bitcoin DeFi. Don't sleep on Bitcoin DeFi. Can you talk a little bit more about Tap protocol and chain fusion and how that's going to tie into the whole Bitcoin DeFi narrative moving forward?
Yeah, this was a phenomenal advancement. So this is the first time that actually natively on Bitcoin, there's been a smart contract that could execute a swap and have a liquidity pool. So the way that they accomplish this is, so Tap is think of it like BRC20. It's a standard that you can use now on Bitcoin, and you could actually, through just doing a Taproot transaction, put your swap order into the native chain. In the back end, they have some logic on ICP that's handling using the threshold schnorr that's handling the actual like logic behind the swap. But yeah, so now you don't have to. So going back to again the wrap Bitcoin, right? Where you've introduced new trust assumptions by doing it. Well, this is one where you don't have to rely on a layer 2, right? You can actually just go straight to Bitcoin. Now you're limited to the 10-minute confirmations. You're limited to whatever the mempool is doing at the time. But it's just a really cool, phenomenal way to you can have a protocol that lives at the layer 1, and then if you want to increase the speed or decrease costs, you can now build on any layer 2. So like ICP, you could put a front end and have your whole have another app where you can do a lot on there. You could probably also leverage like Stacks or some other Bitcoin L2, a bit layer or something in the future when So anyway, so yeah, it's a major milestone for Tap.
And you'll be talking more about chain fusion tomorrow at the conference, correct? At Rare Evo?
Chain fusion and AI.
What time?
1:30.
I'll be there.
I will.
Were you?
I'll be at the conference all day. I'll be speaking at 10:30.
Okay.
So I'll still be there.
I'll be there, and then after that, we got to run to the poker tournament.
Yes.
I'll be there. But I'll be running before you to the poker tournament.
And Rob, where will you be?
He'll be there.
I don't know. I'll probably be gambling somewhere.
Classic Rob.
Don't gamble. He knows. I invited him to the poker tournament. He's like, I'm too afraid to play against you. I know you'll take my money, David. That's the
I run an epic poker night.
And
at
who
my
wins
home.
consistently? Who wins consistently? Me. Thank you very much. That's all I'm saying. But I promise, guys, if I'll take it a little easy on you if we end up at the same table.
The same over-the-top kind of studio that we have here in OEA, we're talking about it. We do the same for the poker night.
This guy literally
hired. I had like 3 chefs last time.
A bartender, 2 poker dealers, and then this guy hired a lady to wash the dishes as people are there. I'm like, you are so bougie, bro. I'm like, you can be spending so much.
You had a good time, right? You had a good time?
It was a good time.
Because that was your last time, buddy.
It was, it was definitely a good time. I had a lot of fun. Speaking of Rare Evo, there's also, so ICP is a big presence there. We know our friends Austin and Kyle are going to be speaking. But also, there's going to be a lot of Cardano stuff happening. And so what kind of big news are we going to get from Charles Hoskinson, from the Cardano team, from some of the projects building? I want to share a video here. This was posted by IOG, Input Output. And we know a lot of exciting things are happening on Cardano. We have Hydra coming out. We have Chang Hard Fork, Voltaire, unlocking of the Treasury Fund. That'll be on phase 2, the back end of Chang. And then we have this. So this is what is currently happening at the Rare Evo conference. I'm so excited to see this. Let's take a look at this video here from that was posted by Input Output. Let's take a look here.
Hey, we're here with the Hydra Doom cabinets. So this is a version of Doom that is submitting a transaction to a Hydra head every frame. So that's 35 times per second. We've got 65 Hydra heads running, so anybody around the world can play. And we've benchmarked it up to 2,000 transactions per second. This really shows off both the scalability of Hydra, the horizontal scalability so we can spit up more heads, and the isomorphism, which means that we can take stuff that was written for the Cardano layer 1, just a normal Aiken contract, and use it on a Hydra head. So you have anything to add?
No, I think that's about it. It's a pretty cool demo. You can connect remotely as well. Visit doom.hydra.family, and you can play from home.
Doom was
Rob, what are
such
your
a good
thoughts?
game, man.
was.
You know what? Like when I first got on Doom, because that was a PC game. You know, you had like Duck Hunt, you had Mario. You know, then came Doom, and then it was this first-person shooter. There's all kinds of like demons running around. It had this creepy music. I don't know. I was like 12 years old, man. That thing kind of freaked me out, but I was hooked, man. It's such a good game. Great to see that these games are native on chain. I think it's quite impressive. I know when we first started the show, I saw somebody in the comments say that they were playing Quake 3 on ICP, and I don't know. I don't have any details. I just saw that as a comment, but. Is gaming on chain not just the movement of NFTs? Is that the future of Web3
Well,
gaming, or is there like benefits to it versus just downloading a physical copy, or streaming a physical copy?
Well, you also had Off the Grid was the first ever blockchain game on console, right? It launched on PlayStation, maybe Xbox. That was built on Avalanche. But I guess what I want to stick to like Cardano specifically and the Hydra and everything happening. What do you like? Is there anything you're most excited about with Cardano? Is it partner chains? Is it Chang?
If they can do this with a full video game, I mean, what can they do with real financial services, with NFT versions of identifications, with tokenized real world assets? I mean, there's a lot of moving parts to a game. There's a lot of lines of code that need to operate, in real time, and so. That just shows you the versatility of a strong layer one like Cardano. So for me, it's whimsical to see it, but I mean, just to expand the possibilities of what can be done on chain. That's what my big takeaway. But no, I'm also a big Doom fan, so there you go.
Austin, any thoughts? Cardano gets a lot of flack. That project, no one's building on it. People crap talking Charles Hoskinson. Anything you're most excited about, and what are your thoughts on this demo they gave here?
I think one of the things one of the best things that Cardano has going for it is the community. And I actually may say the same thing about ICP.
100%.
They're ravenous, the Cardano community. And I would say ICP is very second, where, if you don't mention something exactly right, they come get you. And that's cool, because we like talking about projects that are building. We just mentioned recently the other day that the Dubai police force has started to use in testing pilot program the Cardano blockchain to send records back to Interpol, and they're using it from a security point of view to keep those records intact. So I'm no gamer. I think it's cool, but as Charles Hoskinson said when we interviewed him on our channel a few months ago, it's the long game. So it's truly not what's happening this year. He's got that 10-year time horizon.
Yeah, when you get founders and projects that really are not just looking at the next 6 months, but are looking at the next 6 years, the next 15 years. And I definitely think when you talk about projects like Cardano, you talk about ICP, you're talking about other projects, throw in Hedera in there, throw in, throw in Caspa in there, right? But Kyle, what are your thoughts? I want to ask you more specifically to like gaming, because we know gaming's a massive subset of just everyone. Everyone games, from adults to kids. Gaming, is that like gaming on ICP? Is that something that is kind of like, do you have any insight on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the verticals that has some traction and activity. There's a lot of like infrastructure that people have been building out. There's games that have been coming out, but it's more kind of going back to your 10-year horizon. And this is really credit to the Cardano community on this. Is that we're still like 1997 internet within our industry, right? And you go back, think about like who ended up winning the internet, like the Facebooks, the Googles, the Ubers, or whatever you want to name it. Like maybe Amazon was the only one who was around in 1997.
Right.
And I say that just to mean like we're kind of messing around. We're trying to figure out where the traction is, what unique use cases does blockchain bring that you can't get in a Web 2 world. And so it's just, we got to keep trying new things, see what hits and where we get product market fit. So
I have a question for Kyle. And I understand, the cream will rise to the top. Many blockchain protocols will win in the end. But like, why is ICP better than Cardano? Like, I truly want to know, is it easier to develop on?
It's not. So one of the things we need to do is get out of this, which one is better?
Which one do I buy? That's what
well, yeah. So okay. So that might be the second question.
The viewers want to know.
I think the better way to say it is like what is like the unique like characteristics of the blockchain? Because really, what it is you have entrepreneurs and developers out there who have an idea for a product, and what they should have is multiple blockchains that specialize in different things so that they can build out the product that they want without having to make sacrifices. So it's not so much which one is better. In fact, especially now that with Chain Fusion, we're integrating with every chain. It's more like how can we help each other out? Like make it so that a developer can build an app on both chains, not separately on both chains, but actually where both chains bring value into the product that they're building.
I'm still wondering which one's better. No, that was a good answer. And I definitely understand.
But Kyle, you don't think that, because obviously every chain majority, like outside of some layer twos, they have their native token that's used for gas. If we are truly going to be in this interoperable world, aren't there going to be more losers than winners when it comes to valuation of token? We know a lot of these foundations, whether it's a pre-mine or pre-allocation, that's their marketing budget. That's how they get paid. And so if we are going to be in this world of interoperability, you can't use 50 different gas tokens, or can you?
It's so one is the liquidity throughout the different tokens. That's one thing. And then also developers. You don't want to separate. I mean, we're an industry based on network effects, and yet we fragmented ourselves across like 20,000 tokens and 20,000 blockchains. So we probably don't need 20,000, but we probably do need 10, 15, and ones that become extremely hyper-focused on like what they do very well. And that's kind of the key.
Cool. Yeah, I was going to look at it no different than websites. I mean, there's millions of websites, but realistically, how many are used in a certain area, right? How many Americans are going to more than 5 websites, right? And so you have your bookmarks, the ones you go to. And I think that's going to be what blockchain kind of shapes up to be. There's going to be some clear-cut winners or favorites, or ones that have mass adoption or market adoption, and so. I'm curious to see that. I also think that the verticals are going to play a very important role. Like what area do you excel in? I think that there's going to be a winner in Web3 and gaming. There's going to be one for digital identifications. I'm sure there's going to be a chain or two that really capitalizes on multiple areas. I'm curious to see what is up and coming. What hasn't even been created yet. I think that the last bull market, we saw a lot of new projects just come out of nowhere that we never heard of. And I would expect that this bull market is going to be the same thing. And, watching channels like our own and others as well, and getting a beat for what is up and coming and new and fresh. That's where, if you're in it to make some money here, which a lot of us are, at least our viewers are for sure, identifying these new up and coming projects is going to be pivotal to getting those 10, 100Xs. And so, where are people building? And also, let's not discount the fact that layer twos are very prominent now as well. I think that you're seeing less layer ones coming out, less new chains, but you're seeing a lot more building on layer twos. The infrastructure is already there. Why start from scratch? And so, I don't know. I think the market is going to accelerate what we've already seen, and we're going to see a lot more of what we saw in 2021 in 2024 and 2025. And so, yeah, keep an eye out for what's new and trending.
Here's the way I look at it, right? I mean, think about when this country, right, the United States of America, when it was just land. Nothing was built, no infrastructure, right? And everything was slowly being built, right? We're kind of going through the same thing, except the country's already been built. We're tearing it down and we're replacing it with brand new smart homes, smart cars, solar panels on the roads that you don't need. Like, that is the revolution we're going through in the financial world. And so these things take time, right? The cream will rise to the top. And the exciting thing is, you guys got in at the fundamental ground level, right? The level 0. That is where we essentially are. We haven't even seen, we don't even know the possibilities of what else we can do with blockchain and cryptocurrency technology. So it's very exciting. That's why, I always like to talk about and bring up, don't be so short-sighted, right? Have a long-term vision. Look at the projects that don't give a crap about what the price is doing right now, and that aren't focused on doing things to just make the price go up and make their investors a crap load of money.
But what happens when they burn 1 million tokens?
Yeah, man, big burn coming, dude. Yeah, shit burned 70 billion tokens, yet that's like 0.00001% of the supply. All I'm saying is, just because the token's price is not performing the way you want it to be, don't just completely write that project off. Look at what they're doing and try to extrapolate out. is this something that I think in the future will garner a lot of attention, will be a product and service that people want and need, and put your long-term bags into those projects? And I'm not saying this because Kyle is here or because, we have Cardano on the thumbnail, but those two are the ones that I really put at the forefront of that. And I put Ethereum there. I put Near Protocol there. I put some other projects there as well. Sure, I have other projects where I'm like, well, I know these are going to pump. I'll make my money. I'll get out. And then I'll use that money to either, whatever I need to do or reinvest into the long-term projects. But I'm in the space majority for the long term as far as my portfolio allocation. So just something important to keep in mind. Rob, let's take a look at the markets. Where are prices?
All right. So real quick, we got about 250 or 220, 250 live viewers. So hit the like button. We got about 100 likes. So if you're enjoying today's show, support. Now, Bitcoin, 59,400. Now, pretty big move since we started the show. So about an hour ago, we were sitting at 58,000. We know that yesterday we went all the way down, tested
56.
56. So, are we due for a breakout?
Can you imagine just longing 56 and shorting 60?
Yeah, that's been the story.
It's called life on easy mode.
Yeah, so that's been the story here since February. So it's been 6 months that we've been consolidated here at this channel. So, there's always a perspective like, hey, the longer you consolidate in a certain range, especially when it comes to Bitcoin, especially going into a bull market, especially when you know that the next leg is probably to the upside when it comes to consolidation. I think the breakout's going to be massive. The further you pull a rubber band back, the larger the snap. So taking a look at some of the altcoins, you can see that Uniswap, BitTensor, and Thorchain Aave
I saw a sick Thorchain Cybertruck in front of Caesar's Palace.
Yeah.
Saw that?
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was cool. It had like the Taproot Wizards on there, and then it had Thorchain, the Bitcoin logo, Cybertruck.
Yeah, Thorchain, it's fallen out of discussion, right? I think that, it has great fundamentals, interoperable. It caught a lot of buzz last bull market, and, I haven't seen the buzz yet, but I do think that it is due for a big rally. I think that people are going to cycle back around to Thorchain. I think some of the projects that we saw really rally last bull market are going to do the same this one, and I would be inclined to think that you're going to get some big performance out of Thorchain. Some of the tokens that are down though, Aptos, and you know what, the meme coin sector's taken a beating lately. I was looking at this morning, and pretty much big pullbacks. Dog with Hat down 22%, Pepe down 13% on the weekly, Bonk down 13% on the week. So
we needed this.
Yes, 100%. We had a huge rally. I think the move where Bitcoin went from that $20,000 and $40,000 price to the 60, way outperformed by the meme coins. And I think that steam is running out. Will we get another leg up on meme coins later on in this bull market? I think so.
I think so, because retail really isn't even here yet.
Yeah.
And so all this happened from the crypto degens that were already here as institutions pushed up the Bitcoin price and the blue chips. Meme coins went crazy. And if you look at the social metrics for YouTubers, for Twitter accounts, retail's not here compared to 2021. So.
Amen to that, man. I 100% agree.
When does retail come? Is that like later? Is that the late of the bull market?
Typically, retail comes, I would say, when Bitcoin clearly passes all-time highs and starts, putting in new highs in the bull runs that we've seen. Now, this is the first time in a long time that Bitcoin passed all-time highs, and then we just been chop solidating.
Yeah.
And so the thing
Did you say chop solidating?
I did.
I love that.
Thank you.
Chop
I'm not the
solidating.
first.
I'm just like, I've never heard that before.
But it's when the mainstream media starts talking about Bitcoin when it's at 70K again and going up, and Ethereum and Solana, it's back here, then they'll let the mainstream know, hey guys, it's okay, crypto's not dead. And then the retail come in and say like, oh, I can't really afford a Bitcoin, but it feels good holding 1 million SHIB.
If it gets to $1, if it just gets to $1, I'll be $1 million.
Some guy was literally telling me that still the other day, that if SHIB just gets to 1 cent, then he'll be a millionaire. And I'm like,
What do you say to those people?
This was kind of in passing, so I didn't. I was like, we don't.
I didn't say anything.
I mean, well, he also called it Bitcoin shares, and I bought shares of Ethereum. So
Oh, that's a good one. That's
Bitcoin shares.
yeah, I hear that quite often.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
Because-
technically, I guess if you're buying the ETF, you're buying a share.
Yeah.
No, I hear about it like when they're going through their like Robinhood portfolio.
yeah.
It's always the Robinhood portfolio. They're like, oh man, I just bought a bunch of shares of Ethereum, and I'm just like, ooh.
Austin, I want to ask you. Okay, I want to ask you. You gotta. I want to play a game here. I want to play buy, sell, or hodl. Okay.
Sounds fun.
Uh-oh.
Solana, Cardano, and Toncoin. You got to buy one,
Oh,
sell one, and you got to hodl one for at least 5 years.
okay. Buy, sell, or hodl. Ton, Cardano,
Solana.
Solana. 5 years. I think that's the key.
The hodl is 5 years. Buy, you can buy it and sell it whenever you want. Sell it, you got to sell it.
I think they should all be 5 years. That's
Okay, fair. 5
That's-
years. Done.
That's the most fair. I would sell Solana only because that's already went up a lot.
Okay.
And I'm just sort of, hedging my bets. Cardano has not gone up at all in this last run. So I would continue to hold that, and I'd buy Ton because I think it's not been priced in, that distribution factor
That
in the
network
mini
effect,
games. Yeah, the network of Ton coin ecosystem.
What about you?
Uh,
That's a hard one.
I would hodl Toncoin just because the token distribution and the wallets, the Toncoin Foundation. There's a ton of coins there. No pun intended. So I would buy more Cardano. I think that
So you would sell Solana?
yeah, I would sell Solana.
You would sell the chain that's got the most users.
I'm not saying there's not
I'm
any
just playing
easy
devil's
sell.
advocate
There's
here.
no
I'm
there's
not
no
dis-
easy sell.
I'm not
here.
disagreeing with you.
But if I had 3 in my portfolio and I had to bring it down to 2 and then increase my position on one, I'd do that off the back of Cardano. I think that they have the longest roadmap, or they've been around the longest out of the 3. They have they're gearing towards that decentralization. The Chang hard fork going live. And so I feel a little bit more comfortable with, the security because of decentralization. And so for a long-term play, I'd have to go Cardano. The Ton is very interesting. I think that from a price perspective, if you're just trying to make money in the next 5 years and you just don't really care to take on more risk, I think Ton is a better play. But I think just from my own personal sanity, I probably would just go Cardano and just kind of.
I think, as Austin mentioned, those mini games on Telegram, I think that's really that's gonna make. Kyle, would you like to chime in? You can plead the fifth.
I'm
if
not
you'd like to.
I'm not going to add anything. I think you guys kind of touched on it really well. But I would say, this idea of like Solana being like a meme coin, and that's how it's always going to be. I do think there's a decent chance that meme coin turns into like a solution where like a monolithic blockchain like Solana versus like an Ethereum that has a whole L2 ecosystem that's kind of fragmented. That there may actually be a competitive advantage there, and if Solana I think if they play their cards right, they actually could be a competitor to Ethereum.
Yeah, I mean, if you can withstand the stress test of the meme coin ecosystem just completely getting built.
But have they?
Solana, well, I mean, they have. They haven't went down lately, right?
Remember, there was a point in time where like 80% of transactions.
But here's the
weren't
thing,
going
like that's what a great measure. I mean, how if you said, hey, you know what, all the meme coins I got minted, launched, traded, and dumped on whatever, all those transactions, you put them on any competitor's chain. How many of those would not falter or have issues, right? And so I think that it's a great stress test. And when we do move away from meme coins, or at least the dominance that it has right now, or at least as much attention as it garners, once we move away from that and real applications and things that are, fundamentally important. Not saying that some meme coins aren't important, but
Some meme coins are not important.
they're
Let's
not.
face it.
But if you can handle that, then I would feel comfortable handling Visa transactions as an example. That's something that they're partnered with Visa, and so hey, look how many transactions, look how many.
and you still sold it. Gentlemen, I wanted to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us in the studio. We're excited to see you guys. So we're going to go to Rare Evo today after, and then we're excited to watch you guys speak tomorrow. Kind of leave it up to you, Kyle. Any parting words?
No, just really appreciate you guys having us here in the studio. You guys do awesome work. Altcoin Daily does awesome work as well. I feel like I'm in a room of legends, and then I'm just kind of feeling a little out of place. So
You are the
thank
legend.
you guys.
Thank you guys. Cool to be here. I would say anybody in the Altcoin Daily army watching right now, subscribe to Sin City Crypto. But that you guys put out great daily live streams, and thank you guys.
Yeah,
we
thank
appreciate
you
it.
for coming by.
Thank you guys so much. We like to have a lot of fun here. And have you guys ever heard of the finger tornado?
No.
It's my patented move. It's not patented yet, but I'm working on it. And it essentially tells our producer that, hey, it's time, Rocco, to tornado us out of here.
Run the outro music.
And I will mix it up, 2 fingers, 1 finger, depending on if it was a busy day or not. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Have an amazing weekend. We will hopefully see some of you at Rare Evo, and big thank you to our in-studio guests. Watch out for our ICP video coming out in 1.5 hours. We love you guys. Peace.
That big dough, so every day stay tapped in. For big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I split the game, but they gave it. Name the coin, it's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin, and sinners gon' play to win. Screaming hola till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.